A male betta is working for hours, alone, completely absorbed in the task. From a distance, there's no apparent reason for it. He's running purely on instinct. He surfaces, gulps air, mixes it with saliva, forms a tiny bubble, and releases it. Then again, and again, for hours. This is a bubble nest, and this nest is the beginning of one of the most mysterious, least discussed processes in betta breeding. Today we're going to walk through this entire process, start to finish, from mate selection to the bubble nest to that dangerous embrace moment, all the way to the father's protective and nurturing role. I'll also cover a stage that's especially critical during the first 48 hours. Make sure you don't skip past it. Getting the timing right at each stage of this process really matters. After this video, you may have your own betta breeding setup at home. First off, breeding doesn't begin by simply putting two bettas in the same tank. A healthy male is selected. Vibrant color, active swimming pattern. The female is identified by a specific marker, a small white spot on her abdomen called the egg spot. Her belly is also slightly rounded. The male needs to be larger than the female, because during the embrace that comes later, he'll wrap his body around hers. If the male is too small, this physically may not work. But here's the first critical point. The female and male betta should not be placed together immediately. Their tanks are set up side by side, with glass separating them. The two fish can see each other, but can't make contact. The male reacts right away, flaring his gills, spreading his fins, bending his body. This is a dance, a sign of interest. If the female is interested too, her color deepens. She starts swimming up and down, and vertical bars, breeding bars, appear on her body. If these signs don't appear, the process stops there. Forcing it through can lead to dangerous outcomes. Once the pair shows mutual interest, the male begins building his nest. He gulps air at the surface, coats it in saliva to form a film, releases it. The bubble rises to the surface. He repeats this over and over. It can take hours, sometimes a full day. This behavior isn't exclusive to breeding season. It can show up even with no female present at all. Because it's entirely instinctual, occurring in any male betta that has reached sexual maturity. The nest is built under a leaf, a piece of foam, or the underside of any floating object. The male wedges the bubbles beneath it so they don't scatter. Once the nest is complete, the female is released into the tank. But here's an important caveat. Pairing doesn't always happen right away. It can take up to 5 days. If the male is overly aggressive toward the female, constantly chasing, biting, they need to be separated again. There's a fine line between courtship and aggression, and it has to be read carefully. When the female is released, the first few hours can be tense. The male chases her, sometimes nips at her. This is normal, a ritualized part of courtship. But observation is essential, because this aggression can sometimes spiral out of control. When the female is ready, her behavior changes. She tucks her fins in, drops into a head-down submissive posture, starts swimming in an S shape. Once you see this behavior, the first stage is complete and everything is ready. Don't remove the female from the tank before this stage is finished. The male accepts this posture and approaches her, and then the embrace begins. The most critical, visually striking moment of the entire breeding process. The male wraps his body around the female, genuinely curling himself into a ring shape around her. This moment lasts only seconds, but both fish enter what looks almost like a trance-like state. The female releases her eggs. At the same moment, the male releases his milt. Fertilization happens. When the embrace ends, the female usually looks stunned. She stays motionless for a while. The male, meanwhile, gets straight to work. He dives to the bottom and catches the falling eggs in his mouth, collects them one by one, rises back up and places each one inside the bubble nest. Sometimes the female helps too, diving down and carrying stray eggs back to the male. But for the most part, this responsibility falls entirely on him. The embrace doesn't happen just once. It repeats until all the eggs have been released, which can take hours. Once the last egg is released, the female's job is done. And this is where everything shifts suddenly. The male's paternal instinct takes over, and that instinct no longer sees the female as a mate. It sees her as a threat to the nest. She needs to be removed immediately. If she stays, the male can attack her, sometimes fatally. Once the embrace process is complete, she should be moved back to her own tank.
She needs clean water and good food to recover. This process is physically exhausting for her as well. This is the single moment in the entire process that demands the fastest decision-making. Seconds matter.
After the female is removed, the male transforms completely. Now he has exactly one job: guard the nest. He catches every falling egg immediately and carries it back. He continuously repairs the nest, bubbles pop, and he replaces them. During this entire period, he eats almost nothing. Some observations show he'll take small amounts, but the overall behavior is essentially fasting. This process takes a physical toll. The male grows visibly thinner, his coloration darkens, particularly around the head, and his breathing appears more labored. The eggs hatch within 24 to 48 hours. And here's something very important you need to do during this window. The tank lid needs to be sealed tight, glass or plastic wrap, because if cold air reaches the surface, it can negatively affect the development of the fry's labyrinth organ later on. And during this period, it's critical not to disturb the male. A male who's frequently interfered with can, under stress, eat his own eggs. The first change becomes visible after 36 hours. Tiny fry begin falling out of the nest. The male catches them immediately and blows them back up into the nest. This is an automatic reflex, repeated continuously. At this stage, the fry aren't yet free swimming. They hang vertically, filling up their swim bladders. And here we reach another critical point. The moment the fry begins swimming horizontally and freely, the male has to be removed from the tank, because right at that moment, his paternal instinct shifts again. Protection mode is over, and he may start seeing them as a small snack. Some males show this shift earlier than others. If you notice early signs, don't delay removing him. This is the single most important moment in the entire process. If it's missed and the male isn't removed in time, you might wake up the next morning to find a well-fed male and nothing else in the tank. Once the male is removed, the fry are on their own. Just a few days ago, they were inside an egg. Now, they're swimming independently. There's no father protecting them anymore. The bubble nest has dissolved. From this point on, their survival depends entirely on how fast they grow. For the first 2 days, they don't take outside food. They're living off their own yolk sacs. After that, feeding begins with microorganisms, baby brine shrimp, or specialized powdered fry food. Feeding every 12 hours becomes the standard at this stage. And from this point forward, the story connects directly to the growth process we covered with guppy fry: hiding, hunger, coloring, adulthood. The whole cycle started with a single bubble nest. If you've watched all the way through and understood the process well, you're ready. This process is never easy. A single, mistimed step at any stage can undo all the effort. If you've raised betta fry before, drop your experience in the comments. Anything not covered in this video could genuinely help others. In the next video, we're going to talk about why some fish are constantly fighting, why this behavior is simply part of nature for some species, while other fish turn aggressive for no apparent reason at all. If you don't want to miss it, you know what to do. See you under the water.